This is a road you've been down before,
Mm.
and I would imagine your challenge is trying to craft a message that is hopeful and letting people grieve at the same time. How do you even begin to craft a message?
That's an incredible question, very insightful, because you do have so many emotions in the room. You got the emotion of anger, you got the emotion of frustration. How could somebody do this? Mm-hmm. You've also got the grief that can really be a strong force in the room. But you want to make sure in all of that, you give a message that it's going to be okay. God's going to get us through this, and He's going to be there with us.
But how do you deliver a message? Because some of the people who will be watching and attending, some of them are non-believers.
That's right.
How do you craft a message for them and let them know that even without believing, that things will be fine?
Yeah. You know, I can't deny who I am, and I can't just flip a switch and go into a mode that I have that is without reference to God. So everything I do, I try to do it in reference to Him, because I believe it's in Him I move, live, and have my being, which is a scripture. But I can do it in a way that they, I hope, could find truth and find comfort. Even though they may not come to the place I am in my understanding of God, they could at least find those truths in there that transcend what they believe.
Sure. And you know, this community has lost two beautiful souls so suddenly and unexpectedly. How do you walk that line of people want to mourn and grieve, but you also hear the stories about how remarkable they were in the community, so
Yeah.
you also want people to celebrate who they were.
That's right, and that's the thing we can't lose. You know, you don't want their whole life to be overwhelmed and overshadowed by the last minute of their life. In other words, we focus on the end, but there was so much more. And so I think it will be on us to celebrate and to remember. And the ones that I've been a part of, they do a great job of remembering these officers, what they did, who they are, and who they always will be for us. So I think you've got to keep that in balance. I tend to I want the life to overwhelm the death. I want us to celebrate life instead of focusing on the death.
Sure. And you know, this is a community that is so angry by what has happened right now. You know, you talk about the 5 stages of grief: denial, then anger.
That's right.
How do you get them to get past that anger?
Yeah. It's a process for everybody. Some move through it quicker. Grief is very personal. We don't all deal with it the same way. So what you hope is that you can get the focus and the attention off of the loss, and you can move them forward to what we have to look forward to. What are the things that are going to be different because we've been through this painful place? And I think there's a lot of good that's coming out of this. I think we're seeing people come together. I mean, whether it's the races, whether it's the churches and denominations, I think this process of grieving together tears down walls and really brings us together as a community.
Yeah, and I know if you've ever done or attended one of these services before, ultimately you have to talk about the horrible thing that happened.
Right.
And if you're a believer, then you have to believe that the person who committed these heinous acts, if they capture him and he, you know, repents and says he's sorry, he's to be forgiven.
That's right.
How are we as a community
Yeah.
to forgive someone who took those people, those 2 awesome people from us?
Yeah, that's a question that I think each person wrestles with personally, individually. For me, a great example would be Charleston, the church in Charleston. When you watch those family members forgive that kid for what he did, and you listen to their comments, I think we can learn from other situations like that one. And I think that encourages us and helps us. I also think we can help one another and be understanding. I think we need to understand there's going to be anger. There's not going to be a lot of forgiveness. That takes time. But the end and the hope is we will get there together.
Sure. And, you know, as you get ready to, you know, preside over these 2 funerals, how do you mentally prepare for something like that? Even though you've done it before, I would imagine no two are the same.
Yeah, they're not, and these are really, really hard because of the caliber of people we're talking about that we lost. Incredible. Two great officers who served us. And that's really who we are as a church. We've always said we want the city of Orlando to be different because we're here. And the way we ask it is, if we weren't here, would this city be different? And we hope the answer is yes, because we want to know we're making a difference. So when I look at this, I see it as an opportunity for us to serve this community in the same way these officers served us. So it's almost the least we can do is to open this facility and to embrace these families and to embrace the family of law enforcement as a whole and to say to them, hey, thank you for serving us. We want to serve you. So I kind of go in with that attitude. I'm doing this as a way of saying thank you for all that they've done for me.
And what do you say to the families? At the vigil last night, I believe it was Deputy Norm Lewis's mom. She was inconsolable. And it breaks her heart to see her pour her heart out for her son who she loved so much. What do you say to family members? Because we never seem to know what to say except we're sorry, because you can't say, I understand.
No, that's right. You can't say I understand because we don't. And everyone, when you lose somebody, it's different, and that whole journey is different. You know, I think what I noticed was, as I listened to her, there was a lot of grief, and like you say, there was just almost a sense of being beyond consolation. But I heard faith. I heard a foundation in there. And you know, it's okay to get to places in our life where we just lose control. We can't, it's just beyond what we can bear at the moment, because I think those are temporary. You know, the scripture uses a phrase a lot, and it came to pass. I like that because none of this stuff comes to stay. It's going to pass, and we get through it. We go through the valley of the shadow of death. We don't have to stay there. So it's okay to get to those moments and feel like I'm not going to be able to do this, because guess what? Tomorrow's a new day, and the Lord has new mercies and new grace for us.
But what do you say to citizens who are saying, boy, here in Central Florida, we have been in the valley for a while now, because you go back, you talk about Christina Grimmie.
That's right.
Then Pulse.
Yes.
Now this. People are wondering, how much more do we have to bear?
You know, I've asked that same thing. We've talked as a staff in this church. What in the world is going on? And how much can our community bear? But again, I would say that what we've noticed is how we've come together. Even in this very church, after Christina Grimmie and the Pulse incident, we saw all kinds come together in this place, and we saw it in all those vigils. So I guess our hope and our prayer is that we will draw strength from one another, and that we will find together we have strength to bear this, and even more if we have to. But that strength lies in the fact that we come together and we look to Him together. For me, a faith person, I look to the heavens, for that's where my strength comes from.
And how about the men and women in blue who, while they are grieving, they still have to work, and they have to find the person who did this?
Yeah, that's one of the hardest. You asked some great questions, by the way. That's one of the hardest things, because I've talked to 2 or 3 of them, have personal relationships with many of our officers, and I've just said, how are you doing? Send them a text, how are you doing? I'm praying for you. And when they talk, to listen to them deal with the emotion of not only the grief, but as you say, frustration of trying to get this person off the street to make us safe. I guess to me, I would say that law enforcement, they have to be called to it. There's something about it. They have to be called, because they knew when they committed and signed up that there might be these times. I just think in the moment God gives them grace. That's the only explanation I have. Sure. He gives them the grace to deal with it and to still continue their job and to take care of us as citizens.
Yeah, it's interesting you said called, because so many people have described Master Sergeant Clayton as ordained.
That's right.
What she was doing in the community.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I think she was. I mean, I knew her a little. I'd seen her at community events and things. And every time I saw her, I just thought to myself, that's what our community needs to see in our law enforcement officers. She was so geared toward, let's make a difference in this community. That was her heart. That's what drove her.
I know, everyone describes her as a light,
Yep.
as a definite light.
Yep.
And my final question for you is, you know, Markeith Lloyd has to be somewhere. We don't know where. And maybe he's watching television as he's hiding out. And people are saying, just give yourself up. Just turn yourself in. If by chance he happens to see your face come across the screen and you have an opportunity to say something to him, what would you say?
I would say it's never too late to do right. Never too late to do right. And what is right? Surrender. Recognize I made a mistake. And to cast yourself upon the mercy of God. And that justice would be served. I just think when you think like you and I would think, there is that moment where we realize justice must be served. That justice must be done. God is a God of justice. And that's what I prayed for. I prayed that justice would pour down on us as a community, and that He would recognize that what I have done is wrong. So what can I do? I can't undo it, but I can start to do right now. It's never too late to do right. Never.
Wow. I got the mad. You know me, I'm not normal.
Thank
Okay.
you. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just rolling, just getting some.
Oh, so you got
Yeah.
some 2 shots? Cause sorry, we're almost finished. Yeah, it's, you know, and I guess you just want people to, I just can't even imagine being in the shoes of the folks who are looking and grieving at the same time, because they
Yeah.
still have to be 100% at their job.
Yeah,
One mistake.
And I look at it this way, it's almost like there's no closure. You know, it's like we're stuck waiting for that justice to be served, waiting. And until he does surrender or he is found, we can't, the healing is somewhat stopped until that moment. And so once that happens, I think then we can begin to move past it. We'll never be the same. You never are. But you can begin to build on it and let that difference be for good, not for bad.